IWC Super Indy 24 was built around a tournament structure that gave the show direction from the opening bell all the way up to the finals. Various runs through the bracket made sense, and some of the booking I thought was logical. But here's the problem. The execution nearly killed this entire show. The show opened with Spencer Slade against Facade, and this did what you want from an opener here. They worked back and forth with nice spots. The pacing and energy was right. And I thought the back suplex on the apron got the reaction that you want from that kind of spot. Now Slade, he won with the white noise. And I thought this was solid work overall. Nothing really spectacular, but nothing wrong here either. I thought the styles meshed well here. They kept things moving, and both guys worked hard. This to me was the ceiling for what the match could have been. I give this one 3.25 stars, and this set a decent tone. Bill Collier and Labrone Kazone followed up with another really good big man match. And I thought they did everything that you want from two bigger guys here, with power spots, throwing hands, and working a style that fits both of them here. The offense pretty much was a mix of strikes and slams, and they found the right balance between working quick when they needed to and letting things breathe in between the exchanges. Collier, he got the win with a rolling elbow shot, and I thought the execution overall was solid, and they pretty much understood what kind of match that this needed to be here. Now, nothing really stood out beyond just good. I thought it was just competent big man work, but there was nothing wrong with it either. I give this one 3.25 stars. So we're 2 matches in, and the show is working. Both first round matches delivered at the same level. The opener pretty much set the tone, and you had momentum going into the third match. Now that's where things started to fall apart. Sam Holloway against Jake something was going really well until the finish. Now I thought the structure worked before things broke down, when something got the win with a black hole slam after Collier interfered and hit Hollaway with an object in the process. Now the interference I thought took this match down. And look, I get it, because Collier and Hollaway are having an ongoing beef, so it makes sense in that context. But it still hurt the match. The quality wasn't quite there compared to the previous big man match either. Now Hollaway, he lost the Super Indy Championship with this matchup in the loss, and this is guaranteeing a new champion when the tournament concludes. I give this one 2.5 stars. Alan Angels and Trevor Lee I thought was okay. That pretty much ended before it got out of gear. I thought this went way too short, and they were working fine together. There wasn't a styles clash with this, but they needed just more time to develop what they were doing here. They were still in the early stages when Lee hit that double foot stomp for the win. Now the match would have benefited more for more time to build and let things develop beyond the opening exchanges here. There's nothing wrong with what Angels and Lee were doing. They just didn't get a chance to do enough here. I give this one 2.5 stars. Bubba and Bulk defended the IWC Tag Team titles against 0 Hour. And this was 0 Hour's IWC debut. They worked a traditional tag structure with 0 Hour as the underdogs, and Bubba and Bulk controlled most of the match as champions. Now I thought the work was okay here. The layout was okay. And that's really all there is to say about this. This is pretty much the ceiling for what this match could be. Nothing was terrible, but nothing stood out either. Now the champions, they did what the champions do, and the challengers worked as underdogs, and it went the way that these matches typically go. I give this one just 2.25 stars. So pretty much at this point, you got 3 consecutive matches at 2.5 stars or below, with the tag title match bottoming at 2.25 stars. That's kind of a brutal stretch that kills the momentum here, and the show needed something to pull it out of that hole. Spencer Slade against Bill Collier in the semifinals I thought was a good match. Now this elevated from the Slade opener against Facade, and they had more time here. Also some better work, and I thought the dynamic with Collier was different here. They built to things, worked holds, and it kept moving throughout here. There wasn't no major standout moments here, just some nice reversals and some back four exchanges that worked. And Slade ends up winning with the white noise again. Now this is what you expect in the semifinals. Some solid work from both guys, but nothing spectacular, but nothing wrong here either. I give this one 3.5 stars, and it brought the show back up after that rough stretch. The 8-man tag all-star match had Duke Davis, the IWC champion, getting the win pretty much with a bottle bomb. And I thought this was fine for what it was. Now everyone got to do their stuff, and the action I thought was balanced with 8 people involved here. The issue here was the layout. It didn't just have the structure to be more than what it was. Now these kinds of matches can work when they're laid out right, but this one felt like they threw it together just to get guys on the card here. Nothing was terrible. Everyone worked, and Davis got the pin as champion. But in the end, I only give this one just 2.5 stars. Trevor Lee beat Jake something in the other semifinal, and this had just similar issues with the Lee's first round match with Angels here. They just needed more time to develop what they were doing here. Now Lee and something, they worked fine together, and I thought the structure was balanced, but they just didn't get enough time to let it breathe. And also to build to something. There weren't any standout moments or sequences here, just solid work that didn't elevate beyond what it was. This was pretty much about the same level as something's match with Hollaway from earlier. I give this one 2.5 stars. Spencer Slade against Trevor Lee in the Super Indy 24 finals, I thought was a really good match. This elevated from Slade's previous tournament matches, and Lee was a different type of opponent that had more time, better layout, and everything just coming together here. The standout moment from this match was Lee hitting 7 consecutive German suplexes, and that's the kind of thing that gets a reaction and shows what these guys can do here. Slade, he ends up winning the tournament with white noise to become the new Super Indy champion. But what kept this at 3 3/4 stars instead of pushing it into that 4-star territory time was that they needed more time to fully develop everything they were building towards. I thought this was good work from both guys, and it delivered what you want from a tournament finals for the most part. But in the end, this was 3 3/4 stars. The finals was the best match on the show, but it wasn't enough to elevate the entire card here. You have 5 matches hit below 2.5 or below. That's more than half the card. The tournament structure worked. Slade's run made sense. And the booking for the most part was logical, but the execution in the middle killed the momentum here, and nothing broke through what made the show what you need to go back and watch. The opener, it set a decent tone. The semifinal with Slade and Collier brought things back up, and the finals delivered for the most part what it could have and should have. But those 5 matches in the 2 1/4 to 2.5 range, that's the story of the show. Competent work throughout, logical booking, but it needed that one match to break through and to make this show special. It never came to that. I give this a 7.0 out of 10.